exactly what they mean by that.
Right. Right. It's giving you a little bit more definition, and that's why I'm kind of directing everybody to this section, because if you're coding inside the surgery section, and a question comes up as you're coding, I call it the gut instinct, typically, when it comes to coding. But if a question comes up, one of the first places, if it's not right there, when your eyes move up, your eyes move down, if it's not right there and clear, and you don't have it at the very beginning of your subsection, you know, each subsection has its own little clarification. If it's not right there and evident to you, what you would do is go to the main for a little further. Instead of kind of going from front to back and this and that and feeling like you're chasing your own tail, it's a quick, go right to the beginning of that particular section or subsection and see if there's clarification right there for you.
So what they're saying is this separate procedure, it's like you shouldn't code this.
If it's a separate procedure, it means that more than one code may be necessary because it requires more than one procedure to perform that particular service.
Okay.
I know. Service and procedure is so interchangeable.
Yeah, I could have a problem with that.
Yeah, it is. It's so interchangeable because if you're providing more than one procedure, you're performing services, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's saying
So-
you can actually end up having that procedure done by itself, and you can submit that code.
Right.
Or you have to submit what with the 59? There's nothing else with it? 59?
No. If it's a standalone code and you can code for that one procedure, then you would have no modifier. Unless a modifier was required for whatever reason, bilateral, or if it was, you know, something different about that particular procedure or service, you would want to include that or append it. But if there's, you don't have to look for a reason to append a modifier. Not every code's going to be submitted with one. Feels like it's kind of getting you used to having to use them, but not every code has to be submitted with one.
Yeah, because it says in the description about appending modifier 59 to the specific section procedure code to indicate that the procedure is not considered to be a component of another procedure.
Well, in that particular case, last week we looked at a code, or in the Integumentary System, for example. If we have more than one procedure performed to the arm, if we don't append the 59 and have it as a duplicate procedure, they're going to think it's a duplicate coding error. If we're using the same code, 11302 and 11302, 11302, they're going to say, geez, this is a coding error. The modifiers would apply to those other codes to show that it was a different, same site, same, but a different procedure performed, an individual procedure. So additional service may apply, and again, it would depend on the insurance company as to how they want to receive that. Do they want each specific one listed out with that modifier, or do they want them times 3, times 2? Okay?
Because you can read that all.
But I know you guys are coding fine. You guys are coding fine. I have complete confidence in all of you. For the surgery section, we have quite a few unlisted procedures here in the very beginning. Remember, we talked about unlisted procedures, and I had mentioned that they're at the beginning and at the end of each section. So there's quite a list of, mainly broken down by bodily section. So if you were coding a specific procedure that is not, you cannot find it in the CPT manual, it may be unlisted. What goes along with unlisted procedures? What do we have to send? Documentation, absolutely.
Could you give an example
Of
the unlisted procedure, say for the breast or one of them? Like,
So if you had a particular procedure that was being performed to the breast but could not identify that procedure in the CPT manual, it would be an unlisted procedure. Perhaps it's something new, experimental.
okay.
If the code is not found in that, you know, volume or category 3 in the back for upcoming experimental, you would code it as an unlisted. You know, I mean, we're talking breakthrough, new discovery. Right.
You would need to submit medical records.
You would have to submit medical
And it
records.
may not be paid.
Absolutely.
You have that thermonuclear thing for the breast that's done by, I don't know, done by an MRI setting.
So it's
I don't
new.
know. Just
If it's used by a lot of different healthcare organizations, it may be listed. I mean, there is a process, if you go to the AMA website, there is a process for requesting that a code be listed in the manual, but it's a huge process. So sometimes it could take, 5 years before it's actually listed. I know, in the CPT manual, you see a lot of those notes for the CPT assistant. You see a lot of those. The CPT assistant, which we spoke about, a lot of them, I think that we've already passed in the chapter what is going to be required as far as asking for information from the AMA CPT assistant. I mean, I think we're already done. You'll see it in here. One thing that I want to point out is the American Hospital Association, AHA, has what they call the coding clinic. And I believe that there is a link in Blackboard. This is something new that they've just actually introduced, so I'll double check to verify if there's a link. But you can sign up for a free registration to the AHA coding clinic. If you have any type of a coding question now, or even in the future, about particular rules, regs, you can post it there for free. It's just another tool. But you can, if you need and you don't have that other coder to bounce things off of, it is an excellent resource. And it's offered by the American Hospital Association. One thing that's different is the CPT assistant will only address CPT questions. This addresses ICD and CPT, the American Hospital Association.
You can join that for free.
You can join it for free. So it's just one of those nice little, resources to have on hand. Is anybody in here an AAPC member or AHIMA? AAPC? AHIMA? They have different, on AHIMA it's called Engage, but they have it's kind of like a blog, I want to say. But it's, they call it communities of practice, where you can sign up for subscriptions to certain types of information. Questions about coding. Have you used the Exchange or Engage? They call it Engage.
I haven't yet, because I'm so busy with my classes.
Yeah.
I would like to
Yeah.
eventually.
No, it's a good resource. It's a good resource just to kind of have. And the
Yeah.
AAPC offers a lot of different types of Q&A, frequently asked questions, different information about coding. These are tools for your toolbox when you get out there in industry. How about have any of you been Googling anything when you go into look up any specific codes or anything? I know in the discussion boards, I'm encouraging you all to get out there and start utilizing these different tools and kind of get you into that coder face reality. But what have you found? Have you been directed to an AAPC type of discussion? What have you found out there? Have you found anything?
I've been Googling different things.
Have you?
For some reason today, after all the modifiers and everything, I was trying to figure out if I was allowed to apply a modifier to a CPT category 3 code.
Okay.
And I was like, how come I don't know the answer to that right now? And I remembered that it's only category 1, right?
Right.
And category 2 were the pick-picks or whatever.
Category 2 are we have the F codes.
Yep.
And then we have the T for technology, category 3.
Right, we only use modifiers for category 1.
Absolutely.
Right, but, so when I Googled that question, it directed me to all different sites and everything else, and I was reading, so it was helpful, you know what I mean?
I know you can't use the internet when you are taking the certification exam, you're learning how to look up the codes in these classes. But definitely become familiar with those different sites, because when you're working for a healthcare organization, you're gonna find sites that you wanna bookmark. There's sites out there that may define every single panel in a laboratory test. You know, if you're not sure about something, you know, those resources are gonna be your first-hand assistance or your guide. You know, so the more you start to kind of get familiar and remembering and recalling, where did I find that? Where did I find that? It's gonna help you when you get out there in industry.
Do you think we should sign up for the CPT assistant?
No. Very, $1,600? Yeah. It's very expensive. I have user access for one person and it's $250. You know, so it's, a lot of healthcare organizations don't even use it, you know, and they typically have CAC software at the site, which includes the rules from CPT System, you know, because it takes all those different regulations and kind of compiles them all into one centralized area. So I would not recommend it, and a lot of healthcare organizations don't use it because of the cost. So it's a subscription for the most part, but it's an archive of upwards of 20-somewhat years of data compiled. Is that really a benefit? Are you going to be, you know, right? So you might as well use these tools and technologies that are there for you, you know, at a hand's reach without a huge amount of cost. You know, the internet has done that for us. You know, back, you know, even 20 years ago, yes, they may have come in handy when you had to manually go to the card catalog and look up where the book was in the library. It might have helped at that point, but now with technology, I wouldn't use the money. Budget elsewhere. All right. Yes.
Sandy, there is a free 30-day trial for CPT assistant on the website.
There's a free 30-day trial? Oh, okay, good. That's new because they never offered that before. So if you want to sign up for the free 30-day trial to kind of get a look around that particular, you probably want a credit card to go with it. Do you have to put in credit card information? Oh, that's where they get you. You forget about the 30 days, $1,600 later. They say, thanks, David. No, but that's good. If it is free, and make sure you mark down on your calendar with a little alert that goes off a few days prior so you can cancel that.
Any credit card information like that?
Well, because I'm sure people sign up, again, using these tools and these resources, bookmark, they utilize it because they want to take a look at it, and then they forget about it. So, yeah, but I wouldn't risk it. Use your free resources. If you find any free resources that you came across that are really great, share them with me as well, because I'll enter them into Blackboard.
I just can't believe how expensive it is, $1,600.
For, when I was looking at it, you'd be amazed. You know, I had looked into, there was a computer software program that I was looking into called CPSI, and looking for, because there's different things that you can do. It's similar to the encoder, but it was a computer system where you can kind of go through all the processes and calculate the ERGs and this and that. And, I was looking for some sort of, a demo type of software where data can be entered, but we're not building a database. We're playing. These are dummy patients. We're playing. You know what I mean? This is software that I don't need it updated in the future. I don't need it, just give us something to play with. $86,000. So I'll build my own. It's kind of, when they think healthcare, they're thinking big business, money, money, money. Yeah. It's sad, but it's true. Sounds like somebody could make some money just developing it for small people. You know, that's, I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. All right. So now, in taking a look at our beginning of our surgery section, of course, we have the integumentary system. We're beginning with that bodily system. Next week, we start to look at the musculoskeletal, but this week, integumentary. So we have our kind of our table of contents for which is a quick reference guide. Our sections, of course, are in green. And we have our subsections and our further subclassifications. They're color-coded. Can everybody see that? You're going to see this throughout the entire CPT manual. So this is going to be consistent. In the beginning of our surgery section, we have what is termed general surgery, okay? This could be, there's only a few codes. There's only 2, actually, in my particular manual. There's only 2 codes that pertain to general surgery, and they're fine needle aspiration with or without image guidance. Can everyone see that? Then we begin the integumentary system, of course. Again, broken down by bodily system and then the procedure performed. Can everyone see that? And you'll see it kind of continues over and over and over. We're looking at, of course, the skin. We have the skin, the nails, and the breast, right? 3 main sections of this. But then we're broken down into incision and drainage, broken down into the debridement. You're going to see that consistently when we get out of the skin and into the nails, then into the breast. They're all broken down into those same different sub-classifications. Get a few little notes here and there. We have a little bit of a descriptor, a definition at the beginning of the debridement. Can everyone see that? That's what I was referring to when I talked about guidelines. Specific to that particular procedure or that bodily system, gives us a little bit of definition here. Different rules or regulations. Can everyone see that? And right where we have debridement, where it started, we've got a paragraph or so of information. Can everyone see that? It starts at the very bottom of 67, debridement, and it carries over to the next page. Can everyone see that now? And then just under that, we have what is called a coding tip, highlighted with green italic text. These coding tips can give us a little bit of, or provide us with some beneficial information about the particular section that we're coding. We have a few different little rules that are here in this coding tip, right? So again, I had mentioned those eyes moving up, the eyes moving down. When you're coding something new for the first time, you want to make sure that you're understanding what it is that you need to code, because it's better to understand it before you look at the documentation than look at the documentation and then go, right? Exactly. Of course, when you become industry specific and specialty specific, you're going to begin remembering these off your head. You're going to remember all these little rules, but for the purpose of learning how to code kind of across the board, we need to take the steps that we need to take to get there. Okay, so we have, if you can see in the next codes that follow, we have, our measurements come into play. So for code 11,000, we are talking about up to 10% of the body surface. Remember, we had discussed those different breaking down. And of course, if we're coding underneath it, that little plus sign in front of the 1, that's an add-on code. Okay, so that add-on code would be applicable for each additional 10% of body surface. Okay, everybody with me? Okay. Now, if we